Yo, what is up guys? My name is Jaiku. Today we're going to be looking at some Black Ops 7 jump spots. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. Alright, so the first map is Scar, and the first jump spot is from this spawn. We're just going to walk over towards the left into the alleyway, and on the right will be this green building's window. Climb up and stand in the window until we are now on the window sill, and then just back up until we're standing on the outside of the building. You just want enough room so we're standing in front of this wood so we can jump and jump again. If you guys do it correctly, you will actually be above the windowsill right here. Then we can look into the middle of the map and take people out, but don't look too far left or your character will start to drop like so. Now this spot actually has a second part to it, but it is much harder. Looking into the middle of the map, you will see a light sticking out of the wall. If you do this correctly, you will now land on the light, and you can see down the left side of the map, the back, and also into the middle. You can shoot anyone that you can see, but don't turn too far to the left, otherwise you will fall out and land on the ground. Alright, so for spot number 2, come over towards the right here from the same spawn and look for this big truck. Just here are going to be these two boxes stacked on top of each other. We want to jump on top of this and then look at the side of the truck right here. We're basically going to run and jump, bounce from here up and land on an invisible barrier right there. I personally get my knife out just for a little bit more speed, but run, jump, bounce up, and if you guys have done it correctly, it will look like this. You can now shoot into the middle of the map. You can also see people coming from the back spawn, but if you turn too far to the left or too far to the right, you will drop. Now, from that same spot, turn to the right and you'll see the motel sign. This is probably one of the most popular that's going around right now. You just jump on the side. We're going to bounce up the hotel sign and land on this invisible barrier. Make sure that you do it about halfway up or you will not get enough speed to land on anything at the top. Once here though, we can now see all the way into the back again. You can crouch in this one, look left, look into the middle. You can peek over and see the door if we do jump. You can also see into the motel balcony, and you can even turn all the way around, but once again, we're going to drop out. All right, the next spot is very close to the motel sign. We're just going to walk up the stairs and then jump onto this little wall right here. I prefer jumping onto it sideways, otherwise you'll just like vault over, but then look straight forward at this door where we can see this little white speaker box or camera sticking out. We're going to run and jump into that wall and bounce into the corner just behind it. I like using my knife for this one to get more speed, but just make sure that you got a little bit of a run up, run forward, jump, and you'll land in the corner like so. We can then look into the middle of the map. You can crouch down and up. You can look behind you as long as you're like holding back at the same time. But this one is also a very good spot to catch people out because no one's going to be looking there. You can also look up into this little window, which people do like to camp. All right, the next spot that we're going to do, starting from the middle, just walk down to the opposite side of the map and look for these two concrete walls. We're going to walk through them, turn to the right, and look for this corner right here. Now this one's very simple. We're just going to walk, jump off the blue wall, and land on this wood. So run, jump, land on it, and you now have a perfect head glitch to shoot enemies in the window. You can check mid, you got the window here, you got left side from the motel. You can also check your flank. Be careful though, because it might push you off sometimes, but honestly, this one is super simple and super effective. You can actually get into this one just by walking off the roof next to it as well. Be careful not to go too far, otherwise you will fall off, but yeah, pretty simple. All right, we are now on the map Colossus, and starting from the spawn, walk forward left through the doorway here, and then just go around the corner until you find an open door and a white wall. Next to it is going to be this box. This is going to be our starting position. Then I just like to get my knife out, and we want to be standing on the right side of this white wall so we can see it enough. We're then going to jump into it, jump again, and bounce in between the two walls until we land on this invisible ledge. Be careful looking too far to the left, otherwise you will fall out of it. Once we are back in this position, you can go to the left and land on this ledge, and this will help you see over to the other side, and is probably the best spot in this position. The next spot that we're going to do, coming from this one that we just did, we're going to run along the side of the map until we can see some lights on the side of the building here. The last one that's on, we want to look at the dead one that's next to it. This is what we're going to get on top of. So just here will be this little blue crate. Jump on that, run into the wall, look at the light, and you can climb on top of it like so. Then you can look down the side of the map, you can look below you, you can look anyone's right here. But yeah, pretty cool spot. All right, now it's time for raid. There are a couple on this map, so starting from this little courtyard area, turn to the right and look for this brick wall next to the numbers. We're going to go over this part of the wall right here. Basically, what we need to do is jump over the wall, and it will start like a 3-second countdown until we die, but then we're going to jump into the back of this wall. wall. You need to basically like run and dive into a little ledge here. So let's do it. All right, so just run forward, jump over the wall. The countdown will now start. We're going to run and dive into the back of this wall. And if you land on the ledge properly, you will now be able to look over the wall and shoot anywhere you want. Now, the next spot is actually just on the other side here. And the way to get into it is by running along the left side of this little house and then looking back at the wall just here. We're going to run and dive into this one like so, stand up, and you are now in another head glitch. This is also super broken, but obviously there's no trees to like hide you. But you can shoot down into spawn, you can watch people in the window, people flanking. Don't turn too far, otherwise you will die. All right, now coming from the pool area, we're going to go through this window into the main room, and just here will be this little like privacy wall. We're going to run and jump on top of it like so. Once you are here, you can actually lay down as well. Be careful not to move, otherwise you will fall out of it. But once you are up here, like I said, you can lay down, you can look into mid, you can check the door over here as well, and people are going to run underneath you if they don't look. All right, now for our next spot, coming from the courtyard here, we're going to walk into the door, and we can actually get on top of the door frame. So the way to do this is just walk forward, bounce off the wall, land on the bout in the middle part here, and we are on top. Now, I've only been able to look over towards these stairs here before I turn too far and fall off. Now, I have seen it done where people can fully turn around and basically secure this whole room, but I just couldn't get it done. So let me know if you guys can figure that one out. All right, now from this same door, you can actually do it on the other side as well. So walk up here just onto the bricks and then look back at the door. You want to run and dive and perfectly land your dive on the edge of the door frame. So here we go, run, dive, and if you've done it correctly, you will now land like this. Do not stand up. This one is a prone spot, but we can look all the way over into the window, the middle, behind us, pretty much anywhere we need to. Next, from the garage spawn, we're going to go over towards the left here and look for these two benches. Now, I personally like getting rid of all the glass so it just doesn't look suspicious, but if you jump on top of the bench like so, be careful not to vault off the ledge. We're just going to tiptoe over towards the left until we drop down behind it. Then you can lay down, look underneath the benches like so, or you can also crouch and look over it a little. You do get blocked, but you can look to the right, you can look over it. It's a pretty cool little spot that people just aren't going to be looking out for. All right, we are now on Flagship, and there is only one jump spot for this map that I know of. So basically on the side here, you'll see an American flag, and just below it are these pipes sticking out of the wall. Climb underneath it like so. We're then going to bounce off this wall to that left wall and then land on top of this pipe right here. This is how we do it. So right, left, up, and we are now on top of the pipe, and you guys can look down the alleyway. You can look into the spawn. You can crouch up and down. You can also go prone, but be careful because you might fall off. All right, we are now on Retrieval. This is the ice map, and we have the broken plane right in the middle here. We are going to start this spot on this green box just here. Then turn to the left and look into the corner. We're going to run into this rock here and bounce up to the right. So bouncing up like so, and we are now on top of the plane. You can look back at your enemies, or you can creep forward over the side of the plane and now look into the middle of the map where there's B flag, there's a spawn, and there's also this little gap over here. All right, now it's time for a very quick Toshin spot. This is where the train is on the side of the map. We're just going to turn around and look for the blue and green vending machine. We're going to run and jump off the wall, land above them, and we can now see over into this little area right here. We can see the vent also, but if you turn around, you will fall out of it. All right, now to finish things off, we have Hijacked. I'm going to go up into the second story here on this side of the map, go out onto the balcony and look for this couch with a handbag. Where that handbag is, we're going to stand in front of it and then basically tic-tac our way up into the sky. So right to left, right to left. So just like this, it will be a little bit finicky, but once we're up here, this is now the spot that we get. We can see window, we can see that left side. You might have to jump for that one. You can see over to the right, hot tub below you, pretty much anywhere that you want to look, you will not fall out of this one, and it's very OP. All right, the next spot is off the back of the boat, basically where we have the other smaller boats here, but we want to come to the right-hand side where we see this metal railing. We're going to stand just on the left-hand side of it, like so, where we can see the left-hand side of the boat, and we're going to run and jump along it until we land in this spot, which is just crazy that this even exists. You can see the doors, you can see the balconies, obviously the spawn. Pretty much anywhere along here, you are free to look without falling out of it. You can also crouch up and down. You can even go prone. If you guys liked this video, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.